Yeah. Got it.
Well, tonight we're going to be taking a look at the universal laws. And actually, these laws are sort of interesting because this is how Amy and I sort of found out we were on the same wavelength and sort of developing and seeking awareness in similar kind of fashion. And this came about because I was participating in a workshop that she had going on her Underground Railroad book that she wrote. Um, uh, she and, oh gosh, I can't think of her name.
Juanita.
Juanita, yes, how can I forget Juanita? She and Juanita had 15 assumptions and in the front of their book. And of course, that sort of tells you what the book is about. So I spent some time taking a look at those assumptions. And I pointed out to them that they really weren't assumptions because 10 of them were universal laws. So what is a law not made by man look like? Well, it happens the same way every time, like any law does. Any law, if you drop, like law of gravity, if you drop a penny, you let loose of it, it's going to fall to the ground every time. Nothing is going to prevent that. So it happens every time exactly the same way. So they are like in our physical world. So let's take a look at, I've talked about gravity here, but let's see. I sort of got out of my reading here when I was reading, so I now have to get up it. So the penny in gravity, it's never going to go up. It's never going to go to the right. It's never going to go to the left. When you let it loose, it's always going to fall down. So every law in the physical universe, the laws in the universal laws are exactly the same way. They're in the spirit world. And they say they give you what's going to happen every time when that particular content of that law is operating. So that's what we want to share with you tonight, because that gives you an idea when you're thinking or planning on doing something, what you're getting into and how you want to go about doing it. The laws can be really helpful to you that way. Okay. So the universal laws are intangible, they're invisible, they can't be touched, yet they exist and they affect each of us, each moment of our life. They are boundless. There aren't any borders. There's no fences. There's no doors. They exist everywhere. There is no escape hatch from them. They're always operating. They're timeless. Uh, they have been here and will always be here, I guess, unless the creator decides to change them. But that hasn't happened in trillions of years, so I don't think it's going to happen now. These laws are an amalgamation of science, of metaphysics, of the spiritual universe. They are gifts as to how the universal intelligence, God, the divine creator, operates in this universe. They can be used, when understood, to enhance our living in the physical universe, because they operate in the physical universe. Well, if we're not aware of them, it doesn't mean they're not operating. They've been operating all of our lives. What we're doing is calling your attention to their presence. They explain spiritual energy, the flow of spiritual energy, and enable us to learn the flow in the living of our lives. They lead to mastering, I guess, living with love, um, living without duality, living with joy, as as the accepting what can't be changed in our script. There's some things we can't change. It is as it is. While we will be describing them in the world, feel the current of them within you and around you. So as we're talking about it, try and pick up the energy of them in your own life. Your understanding can shape your perception of living. So let's begin. So we're going to start with the first one, which is the law of divine oneness. Everything is connected and interconnected with everything else.
Granny
Nothing.
Jay, you know what? I want to just pause for just a moment before you get going into the list.
Okay.
And I want to, because it's a lot here. And I'm wanting to just say what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be going one by one into each one of these laws to explore them. And I've put in the chat a link to a document that includes all of these. We actually covered them earlier in the journey, if you remember. I think it was back when we were doing the root chakra, but nonetheless, they are there. My invitation as we're going through them tonight is to really just pay attention to what strikes you, what catches your attention, and stay with that. Um, we'll have some time at the end to explore these further and to share kind of what comes up for us. But as Granny Jay said, and I think this is the important piece that I really wanted to highlight, is that the reason that we're doing this kind of came up as we were in the process of the journey home, realizing, oh, this is going to be really helpful because there's been questions that have come up around what does it mean um, to intend, to create? How do we know if we're, in alignment with divine will? These are big questions, I think, that are always up for us, as humans that want to do good in the world and that are committed to creating a more loving and liberating way. And so to call our attention to these universal laws helps us understand what it means and what it feels like to be working in sync with with what's happening and how creation happens. So I'm just wanting to point that out. Yeah. Okay, Granny Jay. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's good. Every thought you have, every action you take, every event you participate in has something to do with everything else in the universe. Stated another way, every choice, word, desire, or belief you have affects the world and the entities within it. That's a big statement. Every choice, word, desire, or belief you have affects the world and the entities within it. You each have come from the same place and are energetically connected. We are manifestations of the same source of energy. Our ego resists this. We are so aware of me and mine, especially in our country, where we strive for individuality, the right to be me, and in the process, live blind to the effects we have on each other and on our environment. We cut reality into categories and compartmentalize things. This encourages and promotes disagreements that can and can end up and upset in wars, can go so far that they end up in wars. We are one. There are no categories. There is no us and them, gay or straight, better than you or worse than you. Labeling separates and it hides the truth. Everything has a ripple effect. Think only good of another and this will flow back to you. One reaps what they sow. The energetic particles of the universe flow in and out of you, whether you realize it or relate to it or not. Reflect on how you behave. If you really believed and lived this to be true, your thoughts, actions, emotions send waves throughout the universe. And since we are all connected, what goes around comes back around. That's a big one, right? Woo. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so the law of vibration. This is the second one. I'm gonna stick it in the. Oh, I love this one. So everything has its own vibration and its own frequency. This means that one's energy is flowing in waves, and the distance between the waves, peaks, and those peaks are referred to as frequency. I mean, I'm writing a book right now on fidelity, on hi-fi, and so this one's up for me big time. Speaking mathematically, the distance divided by time gives the frequency of the wave. The height or amplitude of the wave gives us how loud or soft it is. Science has shown that this is also true in the physical world. Solids have lower frequency, they're more dense than water or air. So think about this again in terms of even in terms of the elements of the chakras. You know, we start with earth and then water, fire, and then heart is air. We hear people say, I had a feeling that that would happen. And so remember our biofield, that we are flowing out a wave and we're picking up others' waves. And this is happening all the time. That's how connected we are, just like little mycelium networks. We're flowing our intention out and we're picking up others' intention. So when we're in a low vibratory state, when we are stressed and anxious, that vibe is low. And then the opposite is also true. When we're feeling elevated and joyful and excited, the vibe goes up.
Like a chart.
Yeah, the charge, right. So use your biofield, the vibration that you are sending out and in any situation. Just notice that. You also have a choice in what vibrations, of course, you send out and what vibrations you allow in. I'm getting a lot of practice with this right now with my sweet papa in the house. So we can brush off vibrations, remember, just like the dogs do, protect our energy fields, being really intentional about what we put out and what we let in. Awareness of this gives us clues that can shape our response. Like vibrations attract and unlike vibrations repulse. So this is why you can it doesn't take long to know, oh, remember Daniel, when we were at the living school, I remember like we would just like connect right across the room. We were like, that vibe was high, at that symposium. So regardless of what the vibration is, know that love is the coin of this universe. And this is a big piece. Flow love out and receive love in. It might not be the kind of love that you wanted, that you thought you wanted, maybe not the kind of love that you think, or maybe still that you think you need, but nonetheless, it's all love.
What that person could give at that time, probably.
What the person could give at the time, what is possible to flow through.
Yeah.
And so, if we can learn to as is, which is to simply be with it as it is, no bias,
Don't evaluate it. Don't judge it. Don't do anything with it.
allow it and let it be, include it, then we will be able to rise to a higher vibe.
Yeah.
This is big and it's everything, but this is the only way that transformation ever happens and healing ever happens is to include and transcend. So that's the law of vibration. Yeah.
If you're not as a, push it away, you have to exert a lot of effort, just an awfully lot of
Yeah.
effort.
It's the resistance. Yeah.
Right. And if it just isn't, it's always there. You're remembering it. You're not pushing against it, but it's still there. When you as is it, you recognize it for what it is and let it be. Those are the three things you can sort of do with vibrations. Okay. The third law is the law of attraction. So here it is again. Like attracts like, unlike attracts unlike. Whites are attracted to whites, browns are attracted to browns, and that is the law of the universe. It's the universal expectation of what should happen. If one has a higher frequency thoughts, one receives higher frequency thoughts. But sometimes that doesn't seem to work. Why? There are 11 other laws functioning at the same time, 11 other universal laws. There's not just one law always acting at a time. There are multiple laws acting all the time. All of them have to be aligned to track what you desire. So if you're desiring something, you have to work to get all of the energies of all the laws working for you for that particular thing. All of them has to be aligned to attract what you
Damn,
desire.
I was thinking it was like checklists.
Oh, it's not that easy, Amy. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, none, all of these are operating all the time and they all have to be in sync to actually get what you want. Yeah. The
Okay.
truth is we get what we vibe, which may be different than what we asked for or what we
Look,
want.
I'm sitting in an airport taking this in.
Yes, yes, you have a lot of things going on there. Right. You are a magnet. Keep that in mind, Daniel. You are a magnet. Your experience is the embodiment of the energy you release consciously or unconsciously. Look around you. You are attracting the environment you live in. Uh, if I can read my writing, sorry. Your reoccurring thoughts or your energy eventually become embodied beliefs. Okay. And become the vibration that is you and that you resonate. Pulling in those of the same vibratory rate, people who have the same vibratory rate as you, that is the inside to the outside thing. What you are inside, you pull in the outside, the same kind of things. Okay.
And that takes us right into this next one, which is the law of correspondence.
Amy, could I pause for a second? Could we talk about, I want to make sure I heard this right. When you were walking through the examples of what attracts what, you said white attracts white and brown attracts brown. What is that in reference to?
But that says people who are more like you're more attracted to, you have to do nothing. It's just a normal attraction.
Yeah.
If you want to get to know people who are different from you, you have to put out effort and extend and expand your level of consciousness to include them. That takes effort.
Got it. That's helpful. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Yeah.
And if people who are just stay attracted to what they're normally attracted to, they're down in second chakra, operating down there at that relationship level. We're
Got it.
moving up, trying to move up toward the fourth chakra, where there's just one.
Okay, that helps. So what I'm hearing is we can recognize that's our normal pattern
Yeah,
and we can choose to move beyond that pattern.
yes. And if you can't recognize it, you don't even know it exists.
Right, exactly.
Raising the consciousness level.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you. Appreciate it.
you're welcome, Anna.
Yeah, so this next universal law, the fourth one, is the law of correspondence. And so this one is around as above, so below. It's the very thing that Granny J was just speaking, that our inner world manifests our outer world, that the outer reflects the inner and the inner reflects the outer. So here's where thinking patterns and beliefs and attitudes, feelings directly correspond to our perception of our physical world. Wayne Dyer phrases it this way: you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Yeah, so we like literally, the inner state creates the outer, our reality, our outer reality. Become aware of your restrictive beliefs and the restraints in your vibrations. Meditation is an effective way to quiet and clear our mind. Daily meditation will change your vibe and subsequently your vision and your perception. Breathing patterns also affect your energy here, both physically and spiritually. This is a big one.
It is.
And some of these feel hard to accept. And it's interesting because I notice in myself, there's like, we can hold it as judgment, or we can see it as, oh, something's wrong with me, that this has shown up in my life. So I just want to say, just notice what comes up as we
Amy, can you give some examples of the breathing that you were just mentioning,
Mhm.
the breathing patterns?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there are a lot of different breathing patterns, and you do different ones for different reasons. I was rereading James Nestor's book on this. He has a great book called Breath. And one breathing pattern that is really good, in fact, it will do some healing in your body, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all such ways, is inhaling 5.5 seconds and exhaling 5.5 seconds. Apparently, that was the ancient way of breathing, and that was the ancient way of healing. So that's one method. I use a method when I can't go to sleep. I do about inhale for 8 counts and exhale for 12. So that you do different kind of breathing patterns for different reasons. We haven't talked that much about them, Mary, but they're there for us to discover, or if you want to know more information, we can certainly see that it gets added into the program.
Mhm. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna keep us moving. This law is directly related. This is the law of correspondence, directly related to the law of oneness. So patterns repeat themselves on a small scale and on a large scale. So with generations, you'll notice that there's this repeating pattern in regards to some of the ancestral gifts and wounds that are passed down over and over and over again. Granny J, I know that you often speak of like that right now we are in this returning to the energy of 1930s.
Right, yeah.
And so needing to change that pattern.
Yeah.
So in order to create change in that outer world, what is it going to take to actually then bring forward that change of pattern? That's all the inner work. That's all and so as we change and transform what's inside, we transform the world. We all know this. I mean, that's part of the journey home. I feel like that's a very core aspect of this journey. So be aware that our minds allow more negativity to flow subconsciously up from our unconscious first chakra sphere of survival and our limbic system of emotions. These thought patterns naturally flow. via your family ties, friends, and beliefs. After all, as a child, we accepted what was expected without question. And we're rewarded when we did this. So to change that, we must become aware of these patterns as we do, as we grow up. See these patterns and then change our paradigm, which, so that, and really to align it with the laws of the universe. All these enculturated norms around gender and what it means to be a good, blah, 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 all this, like learning to see it as a pattern, something passed down, and then choose differently. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
Jay. So on to the fifth, the law of action.
Okay, the law of action.
Barbara has a question, I think.
Say it again.
I had a quick question. And maybe this is for later, but I'm just so curious to hear more about that we seem to be in a time of returning to the 1930s, and we need to change that pattern.
Have you ever read the book on generations? The concept, every 20 years, there's a generational change. I was born in 1930. I saw on newsreels and stuff as a teenager, of course, the development of Nazism, what it stands for. Like ICE to me is the Gestapo. I don't see any difference between that. What I see happening, like putting out the National Guard into cities, is like beginning to be able to put your troops out there to do whatever you want to do without following any laws but your own. So to me, the energy that we have now is that kind of energy. It's the energy, I think, of people who felt they weren't included. And because in the 30s, remember, we were coming right out of a Great Depression, and so there were people who thinking that they weren't getting their fair share of the pie. And so they thought a shortcut of getting there is have someone come in and just say, this is the way it is, this is the way it is, and they'll get a bigger piece of the pie. But they got a lot of different things. But I think that using these laws right now and us thinking differently about people, you can't judge them. You have to know that their level of consciousness is just such that they don't know that there are other people or that they're harming other people in what they're doing. And you are aware that they're definitely harming other people. You're definitely aware of that, which is great. That gives you greater consciousness. So your ability to look at it and to protest in ways that said, hey, wake up. This is an injustice that you're doing. This isn't democracy. To do it in a way that isn't accusatory, but informational is what we're talking about here. Does that help any?
A lot. I just read Fever in the Heartland, which is about the KKK in starting up in Indiana and then moving to Ohio and other parts of the Midwest, and that just fits right in. So I just thank you for sharing more. That fits right.
Yeah, I'm not at home. I can't recall the guy's name, but just look up Generations. There's a big
I wrote it down.
books out on it, and it's great reading. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the law of action. Okay. If you want change, you must take action. And this action has to be inspired. Inspired means it has to come from spirit. It has to come from spirit, has to come from guides. This action is aligned with what you are really passionate about. Yes, there will be frustrations and anxiety, but the challenge will feel enjoyable. I mean, when you want something and you begin working toward it, you feel that you're on a purpose line, and it gives you a great deal of joy and a great deal of a sense of awareness of yourself. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears will flow before you accomplish what you want. We can process is a struggle, and if you want to master something, you're going to have to go through some struggles and persistence and giving up other things in order to achieve what it is you want to master. If you seem to be struggling, just ease up a little bit. Give yourself a little room and then start again. This law aligns with the law of attraction. Your goals don't just happen. I recall reading that the new bishop of our diocese here in Southern Ohio felt attracted to it. And this is what she did. She made a notebook for each of the churches that was in the diocese. She knew where they were located, who the priests were, how many members they had, all kinds of, what kind of economy they had. I mean, she knew all kinds of things about each of the churches. So when she came here to be interviewed and to visit some of these churches, she already knew a lot about it. She had a lot of attraction to them already. And she had put in a lot of effort. I thought there was another candidate that was better qualified, but her energy wasn't the same as the energy of our current bishop, because that bishop had put in a lot of energy, so she was receiving a lot back from what she was giving. Amy and I have found that during this course, we have been led to concepts that we had not really initially intended to include, such as these universal laws. However, as we went along, there were some things that led us to say we needed to include it. It was the law of attraction.
True that. Okay, so here we are. We're at the sixth one, the law of cause and effect. Cause and effect. I don't know if this is helpful or not, but it is kind of for me. So, all right. So every intention. This is maybe one that we're a little bit more familiar with, or feels more common. Every intention and action has a consequence. This is karma. You reap what you sow. That kind of piece. Awareness of our actions is key. So without that, we're a victim to our unawareness. We need to be asking, what did I do for this to happen? Because we did create it. Our awareness of our thoughts, aligning them with our thoughts and actions, we can do a reset and then begin traveling a different road. So we can be aware of this in the physical world, and then what about the spiritual? Examine your relationship to these two, the physical and the spiritual, and do a reset if necessary. The change will happen, but it takes a while for all the energies to change. This law, as I said, is connected to karma. I think the big one here for me is just in this piece around cause and effect is really seeing ourselves as powerful and having an influence on what's happening. So if you think back to that coin, victim or creator, really moving into that creator place and asking, what did I do? How did I contribute to what's happened? And so that's the law of cause and effect. I think one thing I will say is I grow in my awareness and paying attention to this as it plays out, not just in our own individual lives, but how it impact how one, as we said before, how my decision or my choice will affect how that ripples out. And I can see, oh wow, look how that actually showed up in the life of my daughter, or look how that's showing up. And I mean, and it's pretty profound how immediate it can be, or how immediate it happens, because this is the energy of the universe. So we're all connected in this web. So we're halfway through the laws. So just bringing our awareness to that. Let's take a couple breaths. It's a lot. It's a lot. You know, these universal laws, like every time I come in, I'm like, I always feel how uncomfortable they are. And I think it's really interesting to notice how uncomfortable it feels to consciously name them, bring them into awareness. In some ways, this is that all the wisdom and all the spiritual teachings are teaching these. They all are teaching these. This is the difference between the kingdom of God. These are the laws of the kingdom of God versus the kingdom of the empire. And so, again, I just welcome everything that's coming up as we like speak these, as we like review them, do a little bit of energy shake, you know. Take a look, send some love maybe to all the windows, all the little Zoom boxes here. You know, we're opening ourselves up to these energies of the universe and to what are always moving us, guiding us, awakening us. So,
And with that awakening, we can be creator instead of victim.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
However,
Okay.
you have to work at it.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, the seventh law is law of compensation. We are rewarded for every right action that we take. Okay. You will be compensated based on what you are, what you do, what you say, what you think, what you feel. Compensation comes back. The extreme or the extent of this law of cause and effect, the physical world is relative to compensation and abundance relationship and opportunity. It comes from I guess loving family, teachers, mentors that you have teach you a lot about this. And you'll probably notice if you've gone through life, as you think of, so let's think of your aunts and uncles or your cousins, those that you had more interactions with that were positive and loving and nurturing. You have more communication with them today than you have with the other relatives that weren't like that. That's part of the law of compensation, how you were acting and how they are consequently responding to you. Okay. This extends the law of cause and effect between the physical world, the relative compensation via abundance, relationships, and opportunities. It comes in the form of friends, loving family, teachers, mentors, possessions, dollar bills, you name it. The laws are linked to the law of attraction. However, it is focused on the fact that compensation can take many different forms. Okay, many different forms. It's essential to be careful with all of the forms and with our planet, what we do in it. A good question to ask yourself is, what am I called today to be in service of and in support of others? What am I called to do today? To be in service of others or support of others.
Mm.
Keeps you on the right track.
Mhm. Law of compensation. Okay, so the next law is the law of perpetual transformation. This is a great one to call up when we feel stuck. So life flows just like in chakra 2, movement and change, 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 continual change. This law reminds us never to be frightened of that change when feeling that movement. Yeah, it's like it's evolution, essentially. So we exist as energy within an energy of energy. So yeah, we have the power and the opportunity to transmute and transform it, to join in what's already happening around that. This is supreme power. So your energy flows to where your attention is. So remember, what you pay attention to grows. Yeah. This is, I think, again, just a really big one. What you pay attention to grows. And I'm saying that because, wow, in this world right now, I'm thinking just like as we are bringing in all of what's happening, how to be in that, see the injustice, see what's happening, and also be very intentional about how we're resourcing our energy. So you are the creator of your thoughts. And so change them so that they serve you. And when you do this, you can transmute that negative energy into more positive, creative energy. Yeah. I feel like this is a big invitation for us. So between stimulus and response, so between cause and effect, between the inhale and the exhale, there is time and space. I was just quoting today Yo-Yo Ma, one of my favorite quotes. He says that the music is not just the notes, just as important as the space in between. Isn't that beautiful? And so we can, yeah, and Leah, oh my gosh, this makes me think of Sister Louisa. I want you, please share that article that you wrote, because she speaks of this, that when you're not clear and you don't know, to simply wait. And what did she say, that you can like be in the air or something?
Yeah, she said, I think like being firmly planted in midair.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we can, when we don't know what to do, the best thing is to do nothing. And
Wait.
it's incredible because as soon as clarity comes, the sooner we learn to just go with that, the easier it is. And the clarity can come immediately. And what I find is that when the clarity comes, there actually is very little to do about it, because it's already
Done.
clarified within you. And so it just kind of dissipates. So it's incredible. Yeah, and so I think, around this one, I'll just say, to activate this change, we can do really small things every day to elevate our vibration. Um, for me, whatever that is changes a lot. At Granny Jay's birthday party, I played the Native American flute because that's been a thing that I've done. This is where meditation and contemplation and quiet time really helps, because we're literally bringing our mindful awareness to watching the breaths and slowing down, so we're not just in that reactive state. Yeah, and as Jen said, we've got a meditation teacher among us right now in the form of none other than Leah Wright. All right, Granny Jay, on to you. Let's keep it moving. We're on the 9th one, law of relativity.
Well, I want to point out in this one that evolution is an ongoing event that goes on all the time, and that humanity is always in a state of flux. And many people perceive what's happening now is that we're shifting out of the third chakra, power and authority as a way of interacting with other people, into the fourth chakra, which is where we're interacting as equals and as a united group, and aware of what we say and do and how it affects others. So this is a really, really big law, and it's functioning very, very strongly right now in this country and actually throughout the world.
Mhm.
Okay,
On the planet. Mhm.
we're now on to the ninth law, the law of relativity. Recall a moment when you slept late, okay? And then you had to skip breakfast and the dog didn't get its morning walk, and then you got a speeding ticket on the way to your job. And it was all bad, right? Bad beginning. But relative to that, all of that that's going on, relative to the shivering guy that's standing on the side of the street there at the traffic light when you had to stop, who didn't have any place to sleep last night that was warm, and certainly hasn't had breakfast, and certainly had no shower he could take. You know, your life's not so bad. It's sort of all relative, isn't it? It is how you look at the moment. Okay. So Oprah says, if you look at what you have, I'd say, Oprah says, if you look at what you have, you will get more. But if you look at what you don't have, you'll begin to lose things. Think about that. It's how you look at things. It's the story you tell yourself. See, these experiences are not good and they're not bad. They're neutral. It is our perception, our thoughts, our emotions, our judgments that evaluate and compare and pronounce good or bad. Okay? So here's the deal. If you don't like what is happening in your life, change the story. You know, this is your story, and you can change it. Don't flip to the victim side of the coin. Just flip the coin over to the creator side and change the story over there, okay? Appreciate what you have and change your story to the creator side, and you're gonna like life much better.
Yeah.
Sounds simple, but it isn't, but it is how it works.
Right. Yeah. Well, and the thing is that I'm just also really aware of as we get into this is it's really not just even about us, that it serves the whole.
Yeah.
It really does. It serves the whole. It's not even so, yeah. Okay. So number 10, law of polarity. Um, this one is, there are two sides to everything. Two coins, two sides of the coin. Everything has an opposite on the same continuum. This is the duality. The duality and living in non-dual is to like include both, to see both. So take emotion, there's sadness and there's joy. You can't have one without the other. We know that.
You wouldn't even know it.
Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't even know it. Anyway, let me just stay on track. 'Cause
Okay.
I have a lot of stories around this. No, what I'll say is, as someone who is sensitive to grief and sadness and is not afraid of death and the darkness, often people will say, Amy, like, oh, you're such a, why are you're just always in the grief. Yeah, but you can't, if you don't feel the grief, if you don't open to that, and if you don't dare to touch what's hard, you're not going to know true, deep joy, And so that's this polarity piece. There's a text, the Kabbalion, it's this hermeneutic philosophy, this book that says all truths are half truths. Every truth is half false. Sit with that for a minute. There is an opposite. These opposites are identical in nature and yet different in degree. I don't know. I can't. So the point is that there's a continuum, and along that continuum sits dual opposite polars. And that to dance with that, to include both sides, all of it, is to move into this non-dual place. We tend to resist the negative, as I said, and suppress these emotions because they feel wrong. You know, it's the learning to be with the shadow side, but it's important information for us. So learning to be with that and to move through, to let those emotions move through. So it is really these polarities, these dualities that enable us to understand our life and to grow in our awareness. We must learn from our mistakes. And it helps us to see, it's important to see what we haven't been able to see before or haven't been able to feel before. Yeah.
Yeah. And you really talk about as isness, not isness, and isness. And all of these, one way or the other, how you're interacting with life, you have a choice of interacting with it in one of these three ways, regardless of which law is operating.
Well, I'll tell you something that one thing for me is up right now as we have all this conversation about evolution, and it's really easy to slip into right and wrong, good and evil, really easy. And so even just to notice that, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes what appears to be evil, there's like actual, you know, it's not quite as simple as our dual minds like to think. Mhm.
Politics really is every political organization is talking about what's good and bad.
Oh, right. Well, and we're in a bipartisan, so I mean, add that to the list of
And
polarity.
it's part of how we live in this country. It's built into our everyday lives. Okay, so on to the law of rhythm. Okay. Nothing is permanent. I don't care how good your life is flowing, something's going to come along and upset the apple cart, and nothing is permanent. Everything is constantly flowing like the water and changing like the current causes it to do. Think of the universe. Our Earth revolves around the sun. The moon revolves around the Earth, always changing, see? Day turns into night, night turns into day, spring turns into summer, which turns into fall, which turns into winter, and then spring, and then it starts all over again. It's constantly changing. Babyhood grows into childhood, which changes into adolescence. So you got the vision, it's constantly changing. Nothing you can do about it. It's built into how the universe works. These have been expressions of rhythm happening across all of the millennia. Energy is always moving. Moving creates change and cycles and patterns, and each stage has a different purpose and function, and together they are all essential. All of them are needed. Rhythm is everywhere. It seeds the plant to get to flowers, to get to the fruit. Our mating birds are going to end up with eggs and the nestlings, and then they're going to be fledglings, and then they're off as birds, and then it all comes around again. The stocks go up and down. I mean, I always laugh when people talk about stock market because they always want it to be up. Well, believe me, the only way it's ever going to function is up and down. I mean, that's the law of the universe. And to want it to go up and stay there is an impossibility. You know, absolute impossibility. Or if your life is absolutely beautiful now, enjoy the heck out of it, because I can tell you what, something's going to happen that's going to change it. You know, and so what you do with the change and how you accept it becomes an important thing. You know, that's what the flow rhythm is all about. The law say to step back and realize everything has a movement on or a moment on its stage. It's going to be the prime actor on the stage you have. We need patience and a belief system that this is a process, and if it's good, it's going to change. If it's bad, it's going to change. But it's an up and down thing. As this is, so as it is inside of us, it's going to be outside of us also. That's thoughts, words, emotions, feelings don't last forever. There's a cycle to them. Get with the flow, accept the rhythm. I don't know what else to tell you. That's all you can do. You can't control them, you know, and accepting them and feeling them as they are, moving through them as they go. You're going to come out on the other side, and there is where you have the opportunity to create. There's where you have the opportunity to move forward, because you can get stuck in the pain of it and never get out of it. So if you want it to change, you have to create the change and create the flow. Don't get stuck. Okay. I think it's a good law. Let's see. Learn to use this law for your benefit. The key to success is mastering the law, is to how to maintain a balance in it. Always maintain a balance. How can some companies thrive in a recession while others fail? Some companies find a way to overcome the negative, you know. So go with the flow, don't get stuck. Okay? Be creative. You're up.
Okay, this is the last one. We've got some chatter that's funny. Leah pointed out, Granny J, you said it's a good law, and Leah said it's not good or bad because it's neutral. And then they cited the law of relativity. That's funny. Okay, so on to the next. This is the last one, and then we're gonna have a little bit of time to just like, yeah, share. This last one is the law of gender. And, you know, we know that the manifestation requires a balance of energy, you know, to create. It requires a balance of these energies, yin and yang, moon and sun, the anima and animus, masculine and feminine. All of us have these energies within us. They're required to be in equilibrium to create anything. Sexual reproduction in the physical world is a great example of how this law works because it takes both to create. But this law also applies to the energy world and the spiritual world. So no creation, in other words, no, bringing an idea into manifest material reality requires both the masculine and the feminine energies. The Ida and the Pingala, and you know, we've been working with this in terms of the flow. So the liberating current is the feminine, and the manifesting is the masculine flow. Everything, all of life, including us, have a combination of these energies. And we must balance them internally to create the things that we want. And the thing is, because of patriarchy and all the things, wow, we've been out of balance for a long, long time. So although we're born with male or female sex organs, we all have both energy. So this is important. I think like it can often be understood when we're talking about masculine and feminine that we're attributing gender or sexual identity. It's not that. It's that these energies, although again, there is certainly some correlation. So in terms of energy, the masculine energy is creative, practical, farsighted, Although I have to say that feminine energy is creative too, but kind of bear with me just in terms of kind of a general feeling of it. But out of balance, it can take the form of control. Yeah. Conflict, war, because it's not grounded in that feminine. The feminine, the feminine is the earth, grounded in that sense of, think root chakra, oneness. Okay. On the other hand, when feminine energy is balanced with masculine energy internally, it's intelligent, nurturing. There's a sense of the whole. It's all out of relationship and connection. But when unbalanced, it's like there's a fragility to it, over tending, over nourishing. Personal strength and power is weakened. So just to play around with that, with the gender piece. The trick is to balance these energies again, because only when they're both balanced can we manifest our desires in the material world. This is so important. It feels like to me it's everything right now with this divine feminine energy rising right now. How to work with that to bring into material reality what our hearts desire. It's working within these energies within us so that we can tap into that creative power and bring forth the world that we dream of, our lives that we want. The second part of this law reminds us that everything, including our desires, have a gestation period during which they will continue to grow until they emerge in that material world. So back to the law of rhythm, think about, like, it does take time. We don't just do it and then it's there. It's like, we must be patient with our desires, because everything that is created in this world was first a seedling. And it takes a period of time to bring it into reality. And let's not get confused that it's already on its way. Just because
And now that you've heard about them, they're going to be in your life more than ever
the
because
energies, yeah.
you've heard of them. And so here they're going to come at you. I keep them listed and posted by my mirror in my bathroom. So every morning when I brush my teeth, I'm looking at the laws and I'm thinking about maybe what happened yesterday and how I might want to try and balance that out today, or whether I want my energy to flow there, or do I have my energy flowing in the wrong direction? But they're functioning.
Yeah, it is. I was blown away when I first, as Granny J shared, this was one of our points of connection really early on in our relationship. And so when I made a visit up to Mary and Granny J's home, I was like, well, in fact, this I think is the very thing that was in your all's bathroom.
Yes, that's what was in our, that's what's in my bathroom. It's
Yeah,
right
and
there.
yeah, and they took it down as they do in their spirited generosity. Here, take it home. So
Yeah.
yeah, so this is
I've
very
got
much
one. It's still, I've got one too,
yeah,
still in my bathroom.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it is something to have seen in such a real up close and personal, intimate way how this is alive in your life, Granny J.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to like open up a little bit of space here. We filled it up with lots of rich content tonight, lots of rich material. What has come up for us? Yeah, let's see. Share. I'm so curious how all this has landed. Yeah, Daniel.
My experience of Sophia is expressed as intimacy without sexuality, always present, always accessible, constant flow. What took me so long?
I would think in our culture, where sexuality is always before your eyes. I'm always amazed when I see 12-year-old girls running around in too skinny of clothing, you know. And I can remember Kinsey. You remember Kinsey, the guy who, yeah, well, I can remember, I had a class with him and I remember him saying, the most dangerous thing in the universe to other human beings are teenage boys who've coming sexually active. You know, he expounded in that and long and so I think knowing that we are really balanced sexually, we need to balance sexually internally, that sexuality is a part of the physical universe. Physical sexuality is a part of the physical universe. But both sexualities being balanced is part of the spiritual universe. So trying to get those two things sorted out in life is difficult in our culture. Yeah.
Yeah, in this sense, the sense that we seek intimacy. That's really core. And, you know, I think culturally and of course, biologically, we're inclined to pursue sort of like put sexuality first as the way to access intimacy.
Well, I think it's built into our physical bodies that way. I mean, that's the way your hormones are set up.
Yeah.
And learning to understand your hormones is part of it too. But it's built into us to have that kind of attraction.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Just holding that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes, go, Carla, go.
Okay. So I'm really working through these and I really like that you've shared this with us. I feel like this is just, this guidebook.
Yeah.
I'm having a real tough time today trying to go through these when all hell broke loose again Friday evening and a gunman shot up CDC buildings here in Atlanta and killed an officer. But that wasn't his target. The officer wasn't his target. The target was CDC. And I've just, I've been through, I think, a whole bunch of this stuff like over the last 48 hours, 3 days. And I guess my question is, how do we process this with the absolute evil that this is where I am, and the other half of my head knows it's love, 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 right? But this evil that's just taken over right now. I mean, I'm just like, I want to go out and scream and then maybe come back and try again.
Do that.
Yeah.
And do that.
That's probably a good thing to get rid of
Do
that
that.
energy,
Yeah.
'cause you don't want to hold that energy around. But
Yeah.
the thing that gives me comfort is the people who are doing these things have no concept of another person. They're totally stuck in their own self. They're just aware of themselves and their needs.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, it's going to have to get worse before it gets better, because enough people are going to have to be appalled by that kind of action and realize that's no way for one human being to act to another human being.
Yeah.
No human being has a right to act that way to another human being.
Mm.
And unfortunately, we have people who are unaware that other human beings exist other than themselves.
Yeah. And I'm actually focused on, I mean, this is obviously a person that's mentally ill, but the impact of these people that have filled them up with this negativity, with this misinformation. And so I guess I don't know. I just have to,
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
I-
you know, I'm really uh, like, like way back where I was months ago. It's like, you know, this healing that had been taking place. And I'm speaking for a lot of people, not just me. It feels like somebody just ripped off the bandage and, you know, took about 5 layers of skin with it when they ripped it off.
Well, I'm giving you a big, big, great hug because you are aware of that and aware it's happening and aware that that is not how you treat another human being. And I'm so glad you're in the universe because of that awareness, because we need more people aware of it, you know. So pat yourself on the back that you're not one of the beings who aren't aware and therefore enabling it to happen, and you desire something better. Create in mind what you want to have and change the story in your mind. Create that, and then we'll have that. That's the only way we're going to get to the next one. And it's us who are going to be doing it in the next couple of years. You know, I'm grateful that you're here. I'm sorry you're having the pain, but we all have that pain to move through in order to get what is better.
Yeah, I think, it's so important to love ourselves and to accept where we are.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are days when we can't do anything. We can't process anything. All we can do is be with what reality and what life is giving us. And so what's beautiful about being in an experience like this where is that Carly, you can be exactly where you are. Anna dropped off the call. There's several people that aren't here, and that's like be right where you are. And each of us are doing our own part. And so I
And you're wanting to grow. My God, you're wanting to increase your consciousness. What a wonderful gift to the universe.
Yeah, what else, you all? We've just got a couple more minutes to the call before we close up. What else? Yeah.
Well, I have like 5 different things in my head, but one thing that's was sitting with me as we were talking about the law of polarity is I had an experience recently where I was expressing anger and not holding it all by myself. And it became like the funniest thing. It was like almost joyful. The energy of the anger was like, uh,
Glad to get rid of it.
yeah, it was so charged, and my partner was like laughing at me about like how it was coming out, and I mean to the point where they were like, "You should need to go do stand up about this," because I was bitching about my sister's bachelorette party that's coming up, which all I'm sure lots of other rage was coming through from that topic, but um, it, it I appreciate that law because it was helpful that when you have enough awareness or it can be okay, the level of what you're feeling, then there's this extra space where it could be funny or it could be held like in a different way. And even though it's still just as intense. And so I feel like, and then the other thing was that I was listening to speeches from Bernie's oligarchy, like Stop Oligarchy tour, and the Reverend Barber was spoke before he came on, and he kept saying we have to love our country enough to say no, or we have to love these people enough to say no, enough is enough. And the way that he brought in love as the thing that was gonna kind of eclipse it all, was, I kind of keep hearing that over and over in my head. And okay, and then the last thing I'll share is that when we got to the end, I just wrote that I was struck by the realization that enlightened beings who, like Jesus or Buddha or whoever who have come before, um, go through whatever process they go through and become enlightened, and then they still have to go on with daily life. Like
It's a
they
physical
still
universe.
have to
It's a
yeah,
physical
have to figure
universe.
out how to protect their energy, or like you get crucified or whatever it is, and you still have to go. And it there was something that I think I realized that in a much deeper way tonight with like the way the cycles are and stuff, is like instead of holding this idea that suddenly you get enlightened and everything in your life is great, or that it's a stopping point. It was just such a clear reminder, like we are on this journey not to feel better, but to get free. And so that's going to include like all the rides that any human could ever go on. Like there's no escaping those.
Yeah, but when you feel free, there's
Yes.
a wonderful feeling there that is above the joy.
And yeah, and more
It's
capacity.
above.
Yes, and more capacity to be the co-creator or choose where your energy is going. Like I'm not looking at that. I'm not looking at all the people who hate me and like want to take away my health care. And like I'm focused on look at these people who are showing up, that we get to hold our pain together and our dreams together, and who are like uplifting me in the chat. Like that's where I need to keep always coming back to. Um, because otherwise it's just going to drown us. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, truly. Yeah. Yeah, I think often that Jesus had to go out into the wilderness, you know,
For that very reason. Get
over
me
and
back.
over and over, find our peace. Yeah. All right, you all, let's do a quick checkout. Let's just do like a one word. How we feeling? And before I invite the word, I'll just do a reminder that next time when we're together, 2 weeks from today, we will do a little bit of review, but then the majority of the time is going to be sharing. And our thought here, our intention as we share is to do that a little bit differently, is to be in pairs as we share. And the reason for that is to give us plenty of time. You know, this is the third chakra. This is the big piece. This is our self. We're coming into our self here, into the authorship of our own story, into our power, into our choice, into who we're choosing to be now. And we want to give a lot, you know, plenty of space and time to really share that and to be witnessed in that. And so we're going to do that in a slightly different way, but it'll be sharing the majority of our time next time.
Right. It's sort of the preparation, moving out of the physical world into the center where we're moving into the spiritual world. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for putting the link to your article, Leah. Yeah, so let's hear what's the one word that's up for us tonight?
Thrill.
What was it, Jen?
Thrill. This has been a thrill. I'm thrilled.
Filled. Mm,
Energy.
mm.
I'm at peace.
How about oneness?
connected.
Curious.
Energized.
Oops.
Comfort.
Mm.
Neutral.
Oh God. You do need to do a stand up. All right, everybody. So much love. I'll send the recording out along with the document to the Universal Laws. And we're going to send Mary Beth and Stephen and Rowena just a little bit of love. And
Yeah.
Marcia. Yeah, I knew there was somebody, Marcia. Yeah. All right. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Take care.
Everybody.
Much love.
Much love.
Much love.
Oh, look, there's a baby.
Aw. Is that
I've
Tammy's
got it, right?
grandbaby?
Oh, hi.
And a cow?
Hello.
Is that like a little cow costume? What is that?
A
Look like?
blueberry outfit. Can you say hi? Oh,
She wants to touch the keyboard. Say hi.
Yes, look at you.
She
Hi.
already knows the universal laws.
Oh,
So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, already in, uploaded.
So I'm leaving you with a little joy tonight.
Thanks, Tammy. That is precious. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. My soul needed it. Thank you. Look at that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. It was just a beautiful evening. Thank you.
Take good care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my
Bye.
gosh. I just want to eat you up.
Oh gosh. Bye. Say bye. Bye.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Okay.
So you all are there.
I'm still on here.
Amy, the sheet that you held up,
Yeah.
there was some subscript underneath each law.
Yeah.
I forget what those read. Can you take a picture and send that, or can we,
I
Mm.
wonder how different this is with
Let me.
I wanted to just take a quick look, Mary. Yeah, I'll send you a picture.
I don't remember what those were.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might want to double check that, Amy.
Well,
Because
they're
That's where I
slightly
started out with the laws.
they're slightly different than what we shared tonight, but I will,
Okay, or just send it to me if you would.
Yeah. I will. I'll do that right now.
Okay, that was a great session, everybody. You
Thanks.
guys did, it was awesome. It was, and they were really, really listening closely. I think this session is the perfect session for the end of the summer.
Mm.
Thank you.
It's
Thanks,
just, there's just so much there. It'll be interesting to see what the interactions are come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's how we actually live our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Amy, I have to tell you a little bit, we didn't have time to talk about it in the session, but if you get a chance, listen to the interview. I think was it CNN, Jimmy, that was interviewing the mayor of Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
It was a great example of instead of duality, using a oneness approach. She was queried about what she felt about this National Guard being sent in to Washington, D.C. And she ended up basically saying that well, since they're here, I guess we're just we'll enjoy
Use
working
them to do
together.
some things I wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. And she turned what was really a negative that could have been very easily been a dual situation and a
Us,
critical.
them. She turned it like, so it's not us, them, but we're together.
Exactly, yeah. So we're going to support each other and continue to support each other. It was, didn't you get that, Jimmy, from her too?
Absolutely, yeah. It was on CSNBC, Katie Kerr's program, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
But listen to her. I mean, she did an outstanding job of
Wow.
she's on around 2 o'clock, I think, something like that.
you're, you know,
Yeah.
like what happened in Los Angeles into a positive.
Mhm.
Plus, since it's not a state, so the laws are a little bit different than, than they are in other things. But anyway, I
Did
just
you
bring
get
that up
the-
because you get a chance to listen to it.
Oh, well, thanks, Mary.
So, all right,
Oh,
you guys.
it's so good to
Just-
see. It's so good to see the two of you there in that little cabin. Oh my gosh, enjoy. Say hello to the place for me.
Yeah,
Will do.
will do. Did you hear, get the stuff I sent on, God, what was it?
Oh,
Richard
Richard
Rohr
Rohr.
stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, is there any way you see probably some connections there we can do in that fourth chakra
Mhm.
stuff, right? So do you think you're going to get up here this summer? You said maybe
That
the,
first week, I think, whatever I'll come Wednesday to Saturday or maybe Thursday to Sunday. Yeah.
okay, well, when you find out, let me know.
Okay. Do you have a preference?
Uh,
Okay.
just do your thing.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
Okay, good night. It was a good session.
It was really good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
a lot of people got on too. By the time it got over, a lot of people were there.
Yeah.
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 Incredible. All right. I love you. Enjoy.
Have fun with your family this
Thanks.
week. Coming
Yeah,
up
I will.
weekend, big weekend.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.